Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tom. I'm a stay-at-home dad for 5 kids with 1 on the way. And I am a full-time eBay reseller. And boy, howdy, have I had a couple of days. Let me take you over here to the screen and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is where my sales have been. $750, then $246, and then $117. And yesterday Saturday, I sold $18 and change. It's so small I can't even get on it. So is the sky falling, Chicken Little? I don't think so. I hadn't listed much in a couple of days, and I had a $700 sales day. So if you average that down to my $250, that's 3 days of sales. And so I figured I would probably have a slow sales day the next day. And so $250 I was okay with. The next day being $117, I'm like, but then when it hit $118, or when it hit $18 on a Saturday, I'm like, okay, I need to take action. I can't sit here and bite my nails and wring my hands and say, I've listed everything I can list, and all of my listings are around where they should be, and I'm doing the things that I can do, and I'm just not getting sales. It doesn't do me any good to be introspective. Introspection is not going to get me anywhere. So at 7 o'clock this morning, I started taking action. I came out to the store. It's Sunday. I had a handful of things on the desk. I listed those. I went into this box, and you can see, like, there's a hole here now that wasn't here all the way through. And then these boxes are too deep because there's an aisle over there that we can walk down and access these boxes on the other side. So what I started doing was condensing boxes. And as I was taking something out of the box, I can afford to sell that for $9.99 instead of $12.99. Change the price, change the item location to condense it into a different box. Let me show you this. This is only about half done. This is what it looks like on the other side of me. All of these boxes were 2/3 or a third full, taking up space unnecessarily and having stale inventory in them, because there were several boxes where there was one item left in that box, and obviously it wasn't the best item in that box. So I grabbed that box, and the one that I legitimately had one thing in it had a couple of things that I was like, I'll list those later. I'm going to just set them in this box, and lost track of them, and they were in that box. So that box looked like it had 5 or 6 things in it, but it only had one item listed in it. And there were a couple of boxes that only had 2, 3 things listed in them, and that's all that was in that box. And so it was taking up room. So I condensed probably 15 boxes into like 6. And every item that came out, I went in, I changed the item location, and then I changed the price. Even if it was only $1 up or down, mostly, but I would say mostly I was doing between 10 and 20% discount, changing the price. And then I would, after I did the modification, because it's easier to do it that way, I would end listing and then go into unsolds and sell similar. And then that means I'm not changing it after because I don't like the way that it's set up to do listings on the screen. So I did the changes that I wanted to do beforehand, and then end listing, sell similar, and brought those back to the top. And I did that with probably 50 or 60 listings. And I did, and I've made about 6, and that was 7 o'clock this morning. It is now 7:30. So I took an hour lunch break and spent some time with my kids and family. And I've done a lot of cleaning also, even though you can't tell because there's 100 boxes in a pile behind you. And I did this. I think this is cool. Like, this is that backside other aisle. Well, now when you're walking towards it, there's a Goonies poster and Wayne's World and the Grateful Dead. And then you can walk up to my desk and see the huge massive boxes and my computer and the guitar and Michael J. Fox and Batman. And so I spent, so far, I have been out here for 6, 7, 8, almost 8 hours just doing the work. Now, not everybody has 8 hours to do the work, but if you're part-time, then it shouldn't take as long to do the work. You probably don't have 2,000 items listed in your store. But my point is this. If you're not getting sales, do more work, because I've made $185 in sales today, and when I started this, I was at 40. Now, I probably naturally would have gotten some sales, but some of the things that sold are the things that were delisted and relisted, and I didn't put that much of a discount on them, but bringing them to the top made a difference. Some of them I did put a discount on. Let's get into some of that what sold. Wheels of Time, or Wheel of Time. And this is book 11. This one's book 10. And this one's book 15, but it isn't marked as such. But I looked it up to find out. These had been listed for a year. I paid $1 a piece for them as hardback books at our local Goodwill. And I listed them for $24.99 plus shipping. They didn't sell for a year. And then today they were in a box that was sitting right here. I took them down. I'm like, man, I would have thought those would have sold. I listed them for $19 free shipping. I'm $3 into them, and I've had them for a year. It is time to get them to move. And at $19, they sold in an hour. And so the difference between, and that's something that I try to hammer home, like the difference between $24 plus shipping and which they're going to go, the media, I would have charged media, so maybe $5. So the difference between 19 and 29, $10, is the difference between making a sale at all and selling something a little bit cheaper than what you hope for. But those, you guys are all, a lot of you guys comment, wow, you have a whole lot of sales. I wish I could get that many sales. I wish my stuff would move as fast as your stuff. $10 profit on that item that I only had $3 in. So we're talking about increasing your margin, like inflating the margin to way up to get $30 for something I'm $3 in. That's 10x. If you need to make 10x on every single item, that's unrealistic. So I lowered these down to 20. And $3 into 20, they'll still cost me $6 to ship. So then I'm $9 and I'm making 10, and I made the sale rather than letting it sit up here in this box for $24. It's on my desk ready to be shipped for $20. And buyers aren't going to buy overpriced goods. And so it doesn't, I'm beating a dead horse. If you don't understand by now, you don't understand. Sell moving product. Makes your store healthy. Makes sure things show up in the search results and gets things moving in your store. But if you hold on to $5 to make that sale on those Wheels of Time, people are going to buy something else and not your stuff, and it's just going to sit there while the wheels turn over here. But as soon as you bring it down into the market or below the market or whatever, it's going to move. And now that is a page view that turned into a click through, that turned into a sale conversion. And so my store's a little bit higher because that new sale, that new listing turned into a conversion in hours. And so eBay sees that and they're like, oh, that store's selling things people want. And that store is worth showing their listings because they sell things. Another thing that sold, $14.90. Now this one didn't sell because I did anything to it today, but it did sell right as soon as those books sold. Sold for $14.90. I think I paid $5, maybe $2.50 for it. It's got some damage to the box, but it's a GameStop exclusive. Yeah, GameStop exclusive, like PlayStation version of a... It's a figurine from Crash Bandicoot. This I paid $17 for. It was the first thing to go once I started making sales this morning. It's a candy rack. Like this part is plastic, but the bulk in the middle is metal. It's like a peanut M&M display rack. If you had that movie candy, this would look really cool stacked up with boxes of movie candy. I paid $17.50 for this at the local auction house. I just showed up down there one day and started bidding on stuff, and I got this for $17.50, and it sold for $39.99 plus shipping. Buyers all in at $89. Now, I already checked because I knew I would want to tell you guys what I put in for shipping should get this. 10 pounds. I'm not that strong. 10 pounds. This is reasonably light. And 20 by 20 by 12. UPS sends this thing to Florida for $23. And so where the buyer paid $46, it was exactly twice. The buyer, I got a 50% discount from UPS. So I'm going to put another $23 on the margin on something that's big and awkward to ship. So I said that was the first thing to go, but it wasn't. This Vera Bradley purse. I got this from Harry Tornado in a mystery box. I don't sell, buy, source, or list Vera Bradley, but I had it. I had it listed for 6-8 months. Oh, the buyer didn't pay yet. That's why that one, I was like, that's weird. I don't see it on my list. But I relisted this for like from 14 to 11 or something, and somebody snagged it immediately when I clicked relist. So then this sweater it's really cool. I've had it forever. I got a best offer on it for $10 free shipping. I don't remember what I paid for it. I don't remember where it came from. It's been sitting around forever. Whatever money I spent on it is long gone, as last year's tax returns counted as a total loss. And so if $10 free shipping on that, it'll probably cost me $6 to ship, but it's gone. So it is what it is. That one, I wouldn't recommend picking that up. I'm not telling you that's a great thing. I just tell you guys what is going on in my store. This one, where is it? There it is. I like picking these up. Vintage Sophie, made in the US. These are United States Air Force. And I don't know if I'd be able to show you or not, but the dark gray here is reflective. These are vintage sweatpants. They didn't sell for a lot. They sold for $11.50, but on offer, but then the buyer paid $25. So there's some sales tax and quite a bit of shipping. So $11.50 plus shipping. I know that I got those for $2.99 a long time ago. This I picked up recently. Paid $3 for it at a church organization, Used Treasures, and their shirts were all half off. It's a long sleeve Ron John surf shop. Ron John does well for me. It's never high dollar. It's never super fast, but this has been listed for 6 or 8 weeks, and it sold for $17 free shipping. This book was one that me and Levi were going through the death pile, and I was like, that will list. Like judging books by their cover, like, no. Well, let's comp that one. No, comp that one. This was one where I was like, that's neat. Let's comp that. It's a Boy Scouts of America Sea Scout manual from 1945. It's a hoarder house book. It sold for $9.90 free shipping. It's only been listed like a week, but it moved quickly for me. I've had it for a year, but it never got listed. And as soon as it got listed, I'll just put up this. These are loose discs that are in terrible condition. One's even worse shape now because I dropped it and I don't even know where it landed. Oh, there it is. These are in ridiculously bad shape. And I put Cleaner's Lot and they listed the games and then showed pictures of the back. They're bad. And I listed them for $7.75 free shipping. Basically, these are all 3 really good games, and I didn't want to throw them away. I wanted to sell them at, well, that's not the right loose disc. Is it? Road Rash. Oh yeah, Pirates, because there was this one as well. Bounder. The Dragon Ball and Road Rash are great games, and I didn't want to throw them away. This I got in a lot, huge lot, like 50 keychains and things that I got from a buddy who was trying to buy a poster that I had for $400, and he gave me all his Loot Crate stuff and some money. And so this sold for $8, free shipping, but I had $10 into the poster that he wanted, and the poster, and I got, like, he gave me like $100 in cash and like $500 worth of things that I could sell. So this sold for $8. I have essentially nothing into it, so all I got to do is put it in a poly mailer and print a label, and it'll be super easy. But that didn't sell super well. Thunder Buddy, I mean, Ted 2 was that movie's quite old, 2015. Harley Davidson, I really like this back on this one, but that's the town that I live in, Peoria. And so this cityscape is something that I see. Walter Brothers, this is just a vintage, near vintage. No, this one's vintage, 2002. This is a vintage pocket tee. Now, I don't hold super strictly to 20 years makes it vintage, and 19 years and 364 days means it's not vintage, and the day it turns 20 years old, it's 100% vintage. Because, like, to me, a 2002 Ninja Turtles shirt isn't a vintage. If you want a vintage Ninja Turtles shirt, it's going to be 80s, 85, 87, 90. But Harley Davidson has been making shirts for at least 70 years that you could find Harley Davidson shirts. And so, or at least jerseys. So to me, I wouldn't call a 2005 Power Rangers t-shirt vintage, but I would call a 2002 Harley Davidson shirt vintage because it's 20 years old and they've kind of been making a similar style forever. And so to me, I would also argue that that 2009 Aqua Teen Hunger Force isn't being made anymore. The oldest of the old Aqua Teen Hunger Force stuff is 2006. So that 2009 shirt that's older and from when it was out is vintage in my opinion. But the rule of thumb is 20 years. But to me, it's more like from the original era means more to me as a vintage piece. I don't need something to be 20 years old to call it vintage if it's 17 years old about a 17-year-old TV show that I watched 17 years ago, that kind of thing. So that's just me. A lot of people get real hot under the collar talking about that because some people are like, vintage is 50 years old. And I'm like, shut up. Vintage is a word that refers to when wine was created. So if we're using that at all, we're using it out of context. So you can't. There's a general consensus among resellers, among people who collect vintage and nostalgic things, that 20 years is kind of the threshold. But to tell somebody else they're wrong on their opinion is weird when the word doesn't have a definition amongst the nostalgic collectibles. The word has a definition for wine, and unless we're talking about the vintage of rosé, it's all a moot point. Anyway, $3 plus shipping. I have a million of these hat pins. I'm not even sure where that one came from. I think I bought it and it was on a hat, and I decided to take it off to list separately. But I like listing hat pins because they're super easy to list. And normally when I'm listing them, I'm listing 10 or 15 at a time, and it's like 3 pictures, grab somebody else's title, list it, and it ships and stores super easy. This, I screwed up. I don't know what I thought. It says, I mean, I know what I thought, and you will too. It says Red Hot Chili Peppers. But it's not like I thought this was a Red Hot Chili Peppers shirt. I don't know. I know where I got it. I remember picking it up, but I don't know why I would have picked up Red Hot Chili Peppers. Anyway, I'm much more discerning in my tastes these days. Sold for $6 plus shipping. And JCPenney's USA Olympics. This does not sell well. Like, some Olympic stuff sell well, but the stuff that says JCPenney's USA, this would have been for like the, I want to say 88 Olympics. It doesn't do well. The stuff that JCPenney's had a license, at least I suspect it's exclusive license to print USA Olympic material in for those games, because it's all you ever see from that set, and it just doesn't, that set doesn't do super well for me. So if it says JCPenney on it and Olympics, I generally pass it. Most of the time, if I'm buying Olympic game stuff, it's 96 Atlanta. So that's everything that I've got right now, but I suspect the rest of my Sunday is going to be pretty good because I delisted and sell similar, never do relist. I never do sell similar on someone else's listing either. I copy and paste their titles, but I don't do sell similar off of someone else's title, and I don't do relist on my own titles because it's a waste of time. So you sell similar off of your own stuff, you copy and paste somebody else's title. So that's what I've got for sales on a Sunday. This week's going to be slow for sales for listings and for videos because it's spring break for my kids, and we are taking them out of town to christen the new van with a road trip. And so there's a couple of days we will be out of Dodge, and I won't be making videos, and my store will be on like 3 days handling time. But that's what we got. If you have slow sales all of a sudden, do the work. What sells things is pricing them. Make yourself a margin. I've thought about this some. Like, if I said I need to make a 50% return on every item, and then I go to Goodwill and I buy a shirt for $7 that is worth $50, and I'm like, well, 50% margin means I really only need to sell it for like $12 plus shipping and fees. I'll still be at 50% margin return on my money. I've thought about that some, but I don't want to give the money away if it's a $50 shirt and sell it for $15. But there is some semblance to which I know there are people who are like, as long as I can double my money, I'll sell it for whatever double my money is, and then let somebody else make the money. And I suspect that would be a really successful thing because people would know they can get good deals from you as long as you're able to source cheap. Yeah, that's the video. Thanks for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing, all the things. The channel is starting to grow a little bit more. We're almost to 660 in subs, and you guys are liking and commenting as furiously now, and I greatly appreciate it. So if you don't see me much this week, next week we'll kind of be back into the rhythm. Thanks for liking, commenting, subscribing, and all the jazz. We'll see you on the next one.